Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm going to go my review of WWE's Evolution 2. Starting off tonight, we got a triple threat match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. It is Becky Lynch defending the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. I thought the match itself was a good match, man. Back and forth matchup between Bayley, Lyra, and Becky Lynch, with Lyra keeping the pace of the match. Becky hits an exploder suplex on Bayley on the outside into the barricade. Bayley and Becky both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Lyra Valkyria hitting a leg drop off the top rope, taking out Becky and Bayley. Becky gets up, hits a manhandle slam for a near fall. Bayley then hits a belly-to-belly on Becky in the middle of the ring. Lyra hits an enziguri. Lyra then hits her signature Nightwing on Becky Lynch for a near fall. Lyra and Bayley both exchange in the middle of the ring. Becky ends up hitting a roll-up on Bayley, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still Women's Intercontinental Champion, is Becky Lynch. Hats off to Becky Lynch for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go to the NXT side of things. It's the Jacy Jayne defending the NXT Women's Championship against Jordynne Grace. The match itself I thought was a good match. You had Blake Monroe ringside, as well as members of NXT's women's division ringside for Jacy Jayne. The match itself was a back-and-forth matchup. We had Jordynne Grace keeping the pace of the match. Jayne and Grace then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Grace hitting a power bomb on Jacy Jayne for a near fall. Jayne then hits a Hurricane Rana on Grace, followed by a running knee for a near fall. Blake Monroe attacks Fallen. Monroe also attacks Jordynne as well. Monroe then hits Grace with the title. Then Jayne goes to hit the finish, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and still NXT Women's Champion is Jacy Jayne. Looks like Blake Monroe has turned her back on her friend Jordynne Grace. Moving on from that, we have a women's tag team title matchup. It is the Kabuki Warriors taking on Zarya and Sol Ruca versus Flair and Bliss versus Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup with everybody involved, with Raquel and Perez keeping the pace of the match. Flair hits a fall-away slam on Perez in the middle of the ring, followed by Flair hitting a spear on Perez. Sol Ruca then hits a soul snatcher on Charlotte Flair. Zarya then goes for a spear but misses and missed Bliss and hits Sol Ruca. Raquel then throws Bliss over the ropes. Raquel then hits a Tahana, I could be pronouncing this wrong, bomb on, I believe it was Bliss in the middle of the ring. Pins for the 3. Your winners of the match is still Women's Tag Team Champions are Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Hats off to Raquel and Roxanne for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a women's title matchup. It is Tiffany Stratton defending the Women's Championship against Trish Stratus. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Stratton and Stratus. Stratton was keeping the pace of the match. Tiffany and Trish both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Tiffany hitting a swanton off the top rope for a near fall. Trish then gets up, hits a Stratosphere on Stratton, followed by Trish hitting a Stratusfaction for a near fall, but Tiffany Stratton hits a moonsault off the top rope on Trish Stratus, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and still WWE Women's Champion is Tiffany Stratton. Hats off to Tiffany Stratton for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a no-holds-barred matchup with special guest referee Bianca Belair. It is Naomi taking on Jade Cargill. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Naomi and Jade, with Jade keeping the pace of the match. Naomi then hits Jade with a kendo stick. Jade then hits Naomi with a chair shot. Naomi then hits Jade with a chair, sending Jade through a table off the apron. Jade then gets up, hits Naomi with a chair shot, followed by Jade hitting an avalanche Jaded through a table, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Jade Cargill. Hats off to Jade Cargill for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have the Women's Battle Royal, where the winner will get a title match at Clash in Paris. The match itself was a good match. Back and forth matchup. Nia eliminates 2 superstars, followed by Julia eliminating Ivy Nile. Julia and Stephanie Vaquer both exchange in the middle of the ring. Jada then eliminates Natalya, followed by Candice LeRae eliminating Maxine. LeRae gets eliminated herself. Michin and B-Fab then eliminate Jada Parker, followed by LeRae helping the elimination for Kalani. Zelina Vega then eliminates Julia, followed by Nevin eliminating B-Fab. Michin then is eliminated, tossed out of the ring. She's eliminated. Lash Legend then eliminates Zelina Vega. Nikki Bella gets involved in the match by eliminating Alba Fire and then hitting a spear on Chelsea Green. Piper Niven then hits a headbutt, eliminating Lola Vice. Nikki and Vakura then eliminate Piper Niven. Nikki then eliminates Green. Nikki then hits a Hurricane Rana on Nia Jax in the middle of the ring. Lash Legend then eliminates Nikki Bella. The crowd gets irate. Lash and Vakura both eliminate Nia Jax. Lash Legend and Stephanie Vakura are the last two competitors in the ring. Vakura then hits a Devil's Kiss on Lash Legend. Lash falls off the apron, and your winner of the match, and moving on for a title shot in Clash in Paris, is Stephanie Vakura. Hats off to Stephanie Vakura for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into the main event of Evolution 2. It is Io Sky defending the women's world title against Rhea Ripley. I thought this was a great match. Back and forth matchup between Io and Rhea, with Io keeping the pace of the match. Io and Rhea both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Io hitting a Poison Rana on Rhea for a near fall. Rhea gets up, hits a Razor's Edge on Io, followed by a Power Bomb for a near fall. Io then hits a springboard drop kick, missed, took out the referee. Rhea then hits a Riptide. She goes for the pin. She's looking around for the referee. Io then hits a crossbody off the stage equipment that was outside the ring, followed by Io hitting a power bomb on the outside on Rhea Ripley. Io then hits a moonsault for a near fall. Io then hits a Spanish fly off the top rope. All of a sudden, Naomi's music hits. She has a referee with her. She cashes in her women's Money in the Bank. Naomi then hits Io with the briefcase, followed by Naomi hitting a split-legged moonsault, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match and the new Women's World Champion is Naomi. Hats off to Naomi for getting the win in this matchup. A couple of things I want to talk about when it pertains to Evolution 2 before I get the hell up out of here, man. Number one, this was a solid event. I would almost go as far as say that this event right here was better than Saturday night's main event. Might be a hot take for a lot of people, but I think this event was better than Saturday night's main event. There was a lot of good matches on this card. You have obviously the main event between Rhea and Io, where I'll get to in a second. You had the Women's Battle Royal matchup, which in my honest opinion with the Women's Battle Royal, there could have been a little bit more legends involved in this matchup besides Nikki Bella. A lot of it was main roster talent, and then obviously NXT talent with Lash Legend and Kalani and Jada Parker and all that stuff. So, I mean, obviously, there was a mixture between main roster talent and NXT talent. The tag team matchup was Sol Ruca and Zarya. That is a great tag team. I love Sol Ruca's finish with that Soul Snatcher. I think it's an underrated finish. It's absolutely awesome. I think they're a great tag team. Raquel and Roxanne Perez were able to retain the Women's Tag Team Championships. I think this is setting up a storyline here between Raquel, Roxanne, and Liv Morgan. Once Liv Morgan returns from injury, I think we got a storyline there between Liv and Raquel, or Liv and Roxanne Perez. There were some really decent matches on the table, man. It really wasn't that bad. We got Naomi and Jade with special guest referee Bianca Belair. I thought it was a solid match, man. I think it was honestly one of Jade's best matches to date at this point, to be honest with you. I think it was a great match. I think she showcased a lot more talent in this matchup against Naomi. So, again, hats off to Jade for getting the win in that match. But a lot of this came down to the main event. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. This was a high-profile matchup for the Women's World Championship. For what it's worth, I picked Rhea to win it. I was hoping that Rhea would finally get a win over Io, and she would walk out Women's World Champion, which I thought that was actually going to be the case until we see Naomi cashing in. Naomi cashes in, her music hits, she runs down the ring with the referee, she cashes in, hits that split-legged moonsault, and she ends up walking out Evolution 2 the new Women's World Champion. I was shocked, to be honest with you, but I knew WWE needed something in the tank to have people talk about, and that what better way to do than to have someone cash in and walk out new champion, whether it was Seth Rollins or Naomi. And Naomi ended up cashing in and walking out Evolution 2 the new Women's World Champion. So she's going to be walking into SummerSlam as the Women's World Champion. So it's going to be very telling to see what happens here. Who's going to be next for Naomi? Who's going to challenge Naomi for that Women's World Championship? We know that Jade will be challenging Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam for the WWE Women's Championship. So who's going to challenge Naomi for that Women's World title? So it's going to be very telling to see what's going to happen next with Naomi. As far as the Evolution 2 pay-per-view or Evolution pay-per-view concept as a whole, to me, there was a question that was asked to Triple H on whether the fact that this was going to be something that was going to be a yearly pay-per-view for Evolution, that they were going to have it every single year. I don't know if they are or not. And it's not me taking anything away from the women's locker room or the women on the WWE roster. Wow, say that 5 times fast. I think the thing of it is, it's something where on one side of the coin you could look on the fact that why could they not do this once a year? And to be honest with you, I'm not against that. I think if they did it once a year, it would be great. Or is it going to be something where it's going to be too much and it's not going to have its significance anymore, but rather than doing it once a year, we do it every other year? You know what I mean? So, like, that's a double-edged sword, man, to be honest with you. It's not like they don't have the talent on the women roster for WWE. They got plenty of talent from just the main roster to NXT to facilitate them having an Evolution pay-per-view every year. I'm not saying that they don't. They have enough female talent on whether it's NXT or the main roster to facilitate them having an Evolution pay-per-view every year. Absolutely. I think for me, though, if you do it every year, it might take away the importance of the event and how much it means to not only WWE, but to the women that's on the roster, for whether it's the main roster or NXT. Does it take something away from how special that is if we decide to do it every single year? You know what I mean? And you could say the same thing, well, we do WrestleMania every year. Yeah, and there's times where WrestleMania does flop. You know, you look at WrestleMania last year in Vegas, it was shit. And then we're getting WrestleMania again, literally in the same place, same city, same state, same practically stadium for WrestleMania this year. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a swing and a miss. It's really a 50-50 way of splitting it, to be honest with you. Me personally, would I hate if they did one Evolution every year? No, I wouldn't, because they have enough women on the main roster at NXT to facilitate that kind of event every year, to be honest with you. And for what it's worth, I'm gonna stay on this hill by myself if I had to, and go out on a limb and say that I think Evolution 2 was better than Saturday Night's Main Event, hands down. I think Saturday Night's Main Event was very weak. Obviously, the big elephant in the room was Seth Rollins getting hurt, but I feel like the moments and the cash-in and the matches that we had on Evolution 2 was way better than what we got on Saturday Night's Main Event, in my honest opinion. I think the women stole the show this weekend for WWE, in my honest opinion, if we're comparing both shows. So, yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I wouldn't mind seeing them have an Evolution 3, to be honest with you, or more Evolutions for the foreseeable future. It's not like they don't have the talent, man. They got plenty of talent across the board, whether it's the main roster or NXT. Absolutely. And for what it's worth, it was, a lot of people, I think myself and a lot of other fans and even content creators, a lot of us are probably burnt out after the weekend that we had. We had 3 pay-per-views literally in one weekend, whether it was All In, Saturday Night's Main Event, and Evolution 2. So a lot of people were obviously burned out, but I think WWE made it entertaining at the end when they had Naomi cash in. You know what I mean? And now, like I said, the question is what's next for Naomi? What's next for Io? What's next for Rhea? You know what I mean? Rhea still has not got a win over Io Sky yet. And now that Naomi's the world champion, it's going to be very telling to see who's going to be her first challenger, especially leading into this year's SummerSlam, because there's no way in hell she's not going to defend that title at SummerSlam. It's a 2-night event. So it's going to be very telling to see, man. But as far as those people out there saying that they shouldn't have another Evolution, I think that's stupid. I think it's something that they can capitalize on this. I think it's very special for the women on the roster for WWE and NXT. And it's something that obviously the fans want too. So, I think this is something they can definitely facilitate to have at least once a year. Me personally, I wouldn't mind if they did it once every other year. I wouldn't be opposed to that either. I'd rather it be every other year than the long layoff that we recently had from Evolution 1 to now Evolution 2. It's been a few years. Every other year, sure. Absolutely, I'll take that, because like I said, man, they got the roster to do it. And for what it's worth, I think, like I said, I'll go on a limb and say it, that I think the women's all-women pay-per-view Evolution 2 surpassed Saturday Night's Main Event. I think it was a way better event. I think the way they put it together, the timing, the matches, and the quality of matches that we got was way better than what we got for Saturday Night's Main Event, in my honest opinion. So, yeah, hopefully they do continue to do the Evolution pay-per-views. But with that being said, this is my review of WWE's Evolution 2. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.